All right, guys. It is day 9.
Day 9. Wow.
Yeah. See, with this episode, we've came to you guys with all this positivity, all these things to help you, but we never kind of dug deep into the things that were problems in our lives and how to get past those problems. Jasmine and I have had a long discussion today. I think we've both faced some things in our life today that we didn't even know were still bothering us.
Yeah.
And even in facing those things, you still have that moment of what is it?
Yeah.
What is causing all this pain?
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. Last night, I've been an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
It was more like, well, how am I going to help somebody else if I can't even help myself right now? That goes back to what we were saying of being more concerned about everybody else and how everybody else is feeling, and not even focusing on ourselves, not nurturing ourselves and making sure that we're taken care of.
Absolutely.
And I found in all that has happened in the past few days that that's what I've been doing for so many years. I was putting everybody else in front of myself, saying if I can make everybody else happy, then I'm going to be happy.
Right.
Even knowing what I've been telling you, happiness comes from within, I still was doing these things.
Right.
And there's something I want to touch on, and that was the post I made this morning about, everybody asking me, how are you so positive in everything that you've been through? And it's not that I'm always positive, because I'm not.
Yeah.
You're not. None of us are.
Right.
It's all it is a choice of, okay, am I going to suffer or am I going to take the positive route out of this situation?
Right.
And sometimes we can take the positive route and not even realize that that is a negative route because we haven't faced what is causing all the negative that's causing the problems that we have to make that choice of positive or negative because of.
Right.
And like I was telling Jasmine earlier, for so many years I masked all of my pain in a drug. Anything and everything. I didn't care what it was. As long as it took my pain away. As long as I didn't have to face reality.
Right.
I was doing it.
Right.
And I think a lot of people that are on drugs, that are taking pills, whatever it is of their choice, whether it's food or anything else, any kind of addiction, it's all there to mask the pain that is within oneself.
Absolutely.
And the problem is people don't even realize what the pain is. They don't realize that the reason they're doing these things is because of pain. So if they don't know that they have pain, how can they fix it? They have to confront that pain. They have to go within and find out what is paining me.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
It is an extremely hard thing to do, to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're fucked up and we're going to fix this.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
That's all you can do. And, finally today, guys, I've battled depression my entire life. When I was 15, I used to cut myself with a razor. Because it was, at that point, I didn't have drugs. I didn't have none of that. That was all I had to get rid of the pain.
Right.
The pain to me of cutting myself and feeling that pain would mask the pain that I was truly dealing with. It would take away the other pain that I was really having the problem with.
Yeah.
Instead of facing it.
Right.
And and I found myself, even as positive as I am, I found myself reverting back to those ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And it's, like I was saying in my post, it's so much easier to revert to the negative. It's so much easier to go back to what you've always done, what has been instilled with you, what is habitual within you, to always go back to the negative of everything, to always be caught up in the flesh of everything. Being positive, people think, well, you're positive, so you never struggle, you never do this. No, we struggle more than anybody because the fact is we know better and we still do it.
Right.
So that's an even harder struggle than to be ignorant.
Unaware. Right.
Yeah, and not know it. And because then you don't have to make that choice of, well, this is the more positive way and this is the negative way. When you don't know the difference, then it's just a choice. It's not even a choice. It's just an action that you're taking.
Right.
Without even knowing what that action
that you've built.
Right.
Right.
Right. I mean, we wanted to get on here and show you guys a different side of us and let you know that we're not perfect.
Right.
That we are flawed, and we're okay with that.
Right.
And it's not that we choose to struggle. It's not that we choose to do all these things. It's that it's just easier to revert back to those habits.
Absolutely.
It's easier to find that negative place than that positive place when you have lived your whole life in a negative state.
Right. Yeah, so I think it really highlights our last segment and our guest Kevin, who spoke on, stepping in front of the mirror and just standing there naked, looking at yourself, flawed and all, and acknowledging the stuff that you have always hated about yourself, and then recognizing the things that you love about yourself. And it was that realization for me that helped me do kind of come out of that cycle of why me, why is this happening, of that masking, because yours was drugs, mine was sex, and we talk about this all the time about how alike we are, and it's crazy because everything that Brandy and I spoke on this morning, or that she spoke on this morning, it just had me in tears, because I can attest to those same feelings, masking it in a different way, but the feelings were just the same. So we know that those out there that are listening, that you all have 9 times out of 10 experienced the same things that we're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, when it came to the drugs and everything, I was tired of the life that I was living.
Yeah.
I was tired of moving every 30 days from one trailer to the next. I was tired of not having food to put groceries on the table. I was tired of everything, and everything was eating at me to the point that I wanted to drown it out into background noise.
Yeah.
And the only way that I could find to do that was to find something that pleased my flesh in a different way. And it wasn't just drugs. I've only talked about the drugs in front of everybody else. Today I'm actually going to open up and talk about something that I've never told anybody other than the people that have been around me the majority of my life and witnessed it.
Right.
When we were on those drugs, me and my husband, we faced a lot of battles with each other, with our own demons. We still to this day do. But back then, we would get on those drugs, and then our relationship, we would take it to a whole different level, into a place of pain without even realizing it, because it was pleasing to the flesh.
Right.
We were going, and when we would do methamphetamine, our phone book, you would be of all our friends, but it would turn into our sex book. It would turn into who we were going to call to come fuck us that night.
Yeah.
And this is hard for me to say this out loud, because it was part of my life for so many years. All the heartache that I went through, like, these are pain that this morning I didn't even realize I was hurting from.
Yeah.
Like, all the times that all this stuff happened, and then I would be left feeling like I wasn't good enough, or he would be left feeling like he wasn't good enough, and we just kept this cycle going for so many years of constant pain towards each other, and it built resentment and hatred and anger and all these things, and it made it to where now, even when we're trying to fix things, it's still hard to fix it, because all of these problems that we had in the past, all the pain and damage was done, and now it's like, okay, the pain is there, the damage is there, what do I do now?
Right.
And that's why I was so distraught this morning. That's why I was like I was yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't even realize that this stuff was still paining me.
Right.
Because I thought, I'm enlightened, I can get through this, but that's just not the truth.
Right.
It doesn't matter how enlightened you are. In fact, the more enlightened you are, the harder shit gets for you, because then you know. And that's where I was at yesterday, was like a battle of my flesh emotion, my ego telling me that I was hurt back then and I should still be hurt now, when I shouldn't be hurt now, because I done been through it. I didn't die from it.
Right.
So that was my biggest battle yesterday and this morning. And the more we talked, the more that I could get all of this out, and the more that I felt better inside, letting it all out.
Yeah.
And not harboring it inside me.
Right.
And you and Kellen helped me out a lot this morning. More than you guys, I think, will ever realize. And that is why I wanted to do this, because there are so many people out there that are going through these pains, and they see these people that are positive, and they're like, why can't my life be like that?
Yeah.
And guys, what you're seeing is people are hiding their pain with positivity. That is where positivity comes from. You can't know positive if you don't know negative.
Right.
So the pain is there. they're just hiding behind the positivity so that people don't see the pain that they're going through.
Right.
And the positivity that they give when somebody puts a positive post out there, 9 times out of 10, I can tell you that's them talking to themselves.
Yes, that's me all day.
Yes, that is them getting themselves through it, and it just so happens to help somebody else.
Right.
But there comes a time where you have to just be real with people and be like, look, I know that you're battling with this. I know that it's not easy. I know that you're going to go in your room and cry your eyes out or beat your head against the wall, and that's okay.
Right.
That's the thing, is we're made to believe that it's not okay to have feeling, have emotion, and it's not okay for us to act on that, and it's not. But at the same time, we're human.
Right.
And we have to forgive ourselves before we even make those mistakes, because they're going to happen.
Right.
We're not perfect. We can't wake up every morning and say, well, I'm not going to do shit wrong today.
Right.
Because that's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy because it even takes me back to our segment that we did where we talked about our meditation session, and it took us back to our childhood self, where we, I think for both of us, experienced the most pain, where things just completely changed, you know?
Yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out what that was, because I feel, as you're talking about that it was a shift that happened in my world.
Yeah.
And like my world got thrown upside down.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely
and
don't mind.
I think I put that inside me.
Yeah.
And just left it there and never touched it again. And now it's coming back out.
Yeah, absolutely. I can attest. Because in that moment, in that session, seeing my 7-8-year-old self and questioning in that moment, well, what was it at that time that completely changed my whole life around? And
it's all right, you're in love here.
I mean, I know that it's something that everybody, well, not everybody, because I hope to God not, but it's something that a lot of people go through that a lot of people don't talk about. That was the age for me that I was molested, and it never really made sense to me growing up. Why I was a tomboy early on, why I would look at a girl and be turned on or feel some type of way, because I know that's, you know, what society or what the world views as wrong.
You must not.
Right. And I had to battle with that a lot, you know, and that turned into me masking feelings that I didn't understand, but at the same time, being touched at a young age, it feels good. You don't know anything other than that. So that became my drug. When I wanted to feel good, when I wanted to feel wanted, sex was it.
Yeah.
And it took a long time. It took a long time for me to even relate the two and understand why a lot of the things that I was doing sexually, how it even transpired into from my childhood into my adulthood. And I'm at a place now where I completely understand, and I completely own it, and I completely accept who I am regardless. I know a lot of people live their life blaming themselves and feeling disgusted within themselves and just having this
never letting go of the pain.
And I had to tell myself, you know, that wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't ask for it. And even though it happened, that doesn't make me who I am today.
Right.
Now, it a lot of my sexual desires as an adult does stem from that, but that doesn't change my heart. That doesn't change what I want out of life. That doesn't change.
Now that you're talking about that, it brought up, I told you my dad ran out.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like trash.
Yeah.
From the moment that I was born, I felt like I was trash.
Yeah.
That if my dad didn't want me, there was something wrong with me. And that played out into my future relationships, and just like you said, why I couldn't figure out why I was attracted to women either, and it was because I was so hurt by men,
right,
my entire life. And like I was telling you earlier, I went from being controlled. I've been controlled my whole life. I went from, having to answer to my parents straight into relationships. I never gave myself time to be an adult and answer to myself. And that's where a lot of people are struggling, is because they've had to answer to somebody else their entire life. They don't even know how to answer to themselves.
Yeah.
When me and my husband split up this last time, and I had to actually face myself and say, what makes you happy? Who are you? I didn't even know the answer.
Right.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go out or stand up or sit down. I didn't know up from down.
Right.
Because I spent so many years being this person that everybody else wanted me to be that I forgot who I was. I forgot that I needed to be me.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. And it's crazy because every time Brandy speaks, I don't have to say a word. It's almost like she's replaying my life for me, just in a different way. In from a different light, from a different experience, but all the same feelings. My dad wasn't around for my entire life. I couldn't understand why as a kid, and it tore me up inside. It really did, because you have your mom and family members telling you how much this person that's not there, that hasn't been there, how much they love you, but then you're looking at you like, well, if they love me so much, then why aren't they here? If I was that wanted, then why don't I feel that way? And that was a battle that I struggled for the longest time. My sister and I both struggled for the longest time. And I can admit that my father being absent and me not understanding what love from a man was, how that played into the cycle that I began.
Right. Because when you don't have a male role model, especially as young girls, we look up to our dads. That's our protector.
Right.
And when you don't have that male influence, no matter how great the mom is, you're still lacking. You still have a void. You still feel you're not good enough.
Right.
And then you go the rest of your life with everybody else telling you you're not good enough for their standards, and then you get to a point where you feel, well, I'm just not good enough, period.
Right.
And that's the battle that I was facing, was feeling that I was not good enough, that I could never live up to anybody else's standards. But then I started looking in and saying, well, why do I need to live up to somebody else's standards?
Right.
Why do I feel I need to? And so it all goes back to finding that pain.
Right.
Because until we find that pain, until we face it or find it and then face it, we're not going to know how to fix it. We're not even going to realize that we have it.
Absolutely. Because I can attest to that, because there are so many people that I come into contact with. It's almost like I can see through them. I can see the pain. I can see the hurt.
Yeah.
And then they're masking it in so many different ways. And even if it's pride, acting like, ain't nothing wrong, to have it all figured out. But the moment that something happens that they're not in control of,
they completely
fall apart
yes. in that moment, because they didn't take care of the pain before that moment hit.
And just band-aiding it.
Yeah, and you notice that people, they band-aid, like you said, they band-aid all the pain that they have until something happens in their life where it has to come out, where they have to confront that.
They have to rip it off.
Yes, that's
even though
when
it
that transformation starts happening.
Absolutely. I agree.
And I as far as the sex thing, I used to think that was that somebody wanted me, that gave me that feeling that I needed, that my dad never was there to give me, that of a man wanting me, actually wanting me around. But I wasn't seeing that they just wanted my pussy. They didn't want me. And I remember times where, one time I told you that I actually sold myself to someone.
Yeah.
And I felt completely disgusted. And looking back on it today, knowing what I know now, I would have never done anything like that.
Yeah.
But back then I was blinded to my own pain. I was blinded to what was real and what wasn't. And I was blinded by my flesh and my ego, and my flesh coming over me and making me do things that I would not normally do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad we're talking about this today, because there's a lot of pain that we were discussing this morning. We've had so many tears come out this morning I just can't. I'm finding myself at a loss for words.
Yeah.
Because we're actually coming out with things that we've never spoke of before, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that
already
somebody
feel like
is gonna,
a weight has been lifted.
Yeah.
Just in this moment of us talking.
I've been trying to figure a way to tell people what how my past was.
Yeah.
We were swingers. I mean, it wasn't nothing for us to be like, I'm going over here, you go over there, and we'll meet back in the middle.
Yeah.
But it never, as fun as that was at the time, it was never fulfilling, and it only created more pain.
Yeah.
I've had friends come to me that knew that past side of me, who were thinking about going that route with their spouse or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, so what kind of advice can you give me? And I'm just like, the best advice I can give you is don't do it.
Excuse me, yeah.
Don't do it at all, because you're going to be left in the position that I'm left in, having those feelings that I had. And now I'm coming to terms with it. I'm grasping that it's okay that I'm flawed. It's okay that I made mistakes. That doesn't define me. Like you said,
Absolutely.
It does not define who I am now and where I'm trying to go.
Absolutely.
It's only going to hold me back if I allow it to hold me back.
Absolutely.
So I'm letting it go. As of this moment, I'm letting go of all of that pain that I've been harboring inside of me.
Yeah.
And I try to, one day I got on Facebook and I was like, you know what? Because I was having one of those negative mornings, and I'm like, I'm so damn tired of all you people lying.
Yeah.
All the time.
I remember.
Yeah, I'm always positive. No, the fuck you're not.
Yeah.
I know. I understand the human being. And I understand myself enough to understand everybody else, so I know that you're lying.
Yeah.
They can sit and say they're not all they want to, but there's pain in their eyes, there's pain in what they say, and they don't even realize that they're saying
in their
it that
actions.
Way. There's pain in every single person, and it takes us digging into that pain to overcome that pain.
Looking in the mirror.
Because masking it ain't gonna do shit.
Absolutely. And that's why I think our last segment was so powerful. If you haven't listened to that already, then I definitely encourage you to go back to episode 8 and listen to our friend Kevin Melvin and what he recommends each and every one of us to do for ourselves, so that we can tap into all of that hurt, all that pain, dig it out, face ourselves, and love ourselves regardless of it all.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then move
because
forward.
your ego is going to scream, fight, whine, throw a tantrum
Until
like a
you do.
2-year-old to try and keep you from facing it, because the ego knows if you face it, you overcome it.
Right.
And the ego don't want you to overcome it, because
right.
the ego has power when you don't overcome things that you need to overcome to have power over ego.
Right. Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I just love how when we touch on these subjects and these deep things that answers that I've been looking for just fly out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. It's much needed, man. If you just think about so many people that you come into contact with that might be going through things. That's why they say, don't look at people on social media and think that the grass is greener on the other side, that they're living this life, they're flying here, doing this, just have it all figured out, because every single one of us is dealing with something. And people choose to highlight that and show that in their own way. But for you to master who you are, flaws and all, and be able to propel in a positive direction, it is necessary to take that look in the mirror. It's necessary to cry. It's necessary to feel those emotions.
Yeah, you have to get past them.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's like I was telling you. I didn't know happiness before because I had nothing to compare the happiness to.
Absolutely.
I didn't know what a real friend was because I had no real friends to compare it to. Right. Everybody was so fake. I had no... Like I told you, you're the first real raw friend I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I feel that within my essence more so than anybody I've ever come in contact with.
Likewise.
I've never had somebody that I could just grab, like, come here, love me, let's cry for a minute. Like, I'm such a tomboy, like you were saying, that I'm just like, I'm always been the reserve, like, I'm not going to show my weakness.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show you that I'm weak.
That was me.
Yes, because I felt like if I showed my weakness, that it made me weak.
Yeah.
But when really it didn't make me weak, it made me stronger.
Right.
Because it allowed me, one, to get over it, and it allowed me to help somebody else who might have been going through that. Because I can tell you the most powerful thing is when I go on social media or like this or whatever, and then put it all out there in raw form.
Yeah.
And then I get hundreds of people going, thank you, I needed to hear that today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's why I don't hide behind that pain anymore. That's why I go front and center with it in front of everybody in the world. I've had people ask me, why did you share that? Why do you put this on Facebook? Because I believe in myself, I believe in everybody else, and I believe that every word that is ever spoken by any human being is meant to be spoke for someone else to hear it. And why not take a pain? Like I told my husband earlier, I said I'm going to take my pain and I'm going to turn it into a victory in someone else's life and my own.
Absolutely. And when you can do that, number one, they see the realness. They respect you for it. You're helping them heal. I mean, so many different things. Man, it's been a struggle for me because I, like you said, have been such a reserved person. I'm a crybaby, so I've never necessarily been able to hide my emotions, but it came about in a different way, and for me, that was through anger. That was through, because I have no outlet, or feel like I don't have an outlet, or don't know how to address certain things. It's just mad. I'm just mad. I'm just mad.
Yeah, you wake up mad. You don't know why you're mad. They're like, why are you mad? I don't fucking know. I'm just mad.
Yeah. Always wanting to fight. That was me. You said something wrong, did something wrong, looked at me the wrong way. I was ready to fight.
House. Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. And it wasn't positive. And I'm definitely blessed and thankful and grateful to say in this moment that all those things that I masked my fear and my hurt with, that I no longer do. And it wasn't an overnight process.
No.
You know, so don't think that what we're saying is going to happen overnight. It is definitely a process that is going to be the rest of your life for you to look at, for you to analyze, and for you to overcome.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's a process to progress.
I like that.
Because we can't flip switches. Like I was telling you this morning, when you have a habit of doing something, like I was telling you, I have a habit of self-soothing, of fixing my own problems instead of having other people help me.
Right.
Even my husband. Yeah. And he's having trouble understanding why I am, I guess, sheltered to that aspect, to the point that I want to help myself.
Right.
And it's because of habit for so many years of doing the same thing, that once you have that habit and you close yourself off to everybody else, you have a hard time. It's like a pride thing. You have a hard time opening up to everybody else.
Yeah.
Because your pride starts to get hurt.
Right.
And that ego will screw your head more than anything else.
Absolutely.
Like, it's my anger. Like you said, I would be so angry. And if somebody said something to me the wrong way, I was ready. Let's go now. Let's just get it over with. Let's get the hell out of each other. Let's get some therapy going on here. You know?
That was the form, but therapy, not talking.
Oh, this morning, I tell you, I was ready to write a status saying, I need a cage and an opponent who's down. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I felt, because I always revert back to that anger.
Yeah.
And yes, I have anger problems. I admit that.
Absolutely, me too.
But the fact is now, when I have those anger problems, I don't go lash out at the public. Right. I don't go lash out at others. I take it in. I evaluate the whole situation.
Right.
And then I ask myself, will your action be progressive and positive?
Right.
Take you further in life? Or is it going to be degressing and negative and hold you back in life?
Right.
And that is the choice I have to make.
Absolutely.
So it takes me taking a step back, calming myself down, and reevaluating the whole situation. Whereas before, I used to always say, I have no muzzle, I have no filter. Everything just flies out of my mouth. And I still have that problem.
Right.
I still want to just pop off at the mouth. But it's just, I have to control that.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with controlling that, because that's how we get that more fulfilling life, because then we can start understanding everybody else and all their pains and helping them get through it.
Yeah.
And
seeing that they're no different than us, they just choose a different way to express themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how I always, like, all these people get goo-goo-eyed over celebrities.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Me
I look at
either.
them
Never
as my
have.
equal because they are
Absolutely.
just like us. We're all wired the
Absolutely.
same way in those ways, in our pain and all of that, how we handle it. So I look at that as, okay, that celebrity, yeah, they have money, but they still have problems.
Right.
Money does not
Solve
take away
anything.
anything.
Absolutely.
Like I was telling my husband, I'm like, we upgrade to a new house and yet still have the same problems. That tells you that money does not solve nothing.
Absolutely.
Nothing
Absolutely.
whatsoever.
Yeah. So, guys, that's about it that we have for you guys on today. And man, that was
We could
powerful.
talk for hours on this.
That was powerful. I really needed that. I did, because oh my gosh, that have been holding me back from so much. And I just hope that all of you listening took in what was necessary for you to hear, to evaluate your own self, your own life, and the relationships around you, so that you can learn how to create that balance for yourself, because it's never going to be all positive always, and I hope that it's never all negative always. Find that balance so that even in negative times you can find the positive moments, and in the positive moments when negative surface, that you're able to deal with that in a manner differently than you've ever done before. And then you will see the change, you will see the growth, you will see the development, things of that nature. So we hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for tuning in and allowing us to share a piece of us with you.
Yeah. Don't be too harsh on us. We're already terrified enough. We may be positive and we may be enlightened, but that don't mean nothing. We still just
We're
like
still
everybody
human.
else.
Absolutely. Much love, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.